just realized some people watching these videos are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. Other people watching these videos are not going to know anything about what I'm talking about. What does she mean mask? Why does she keep saying mask? Mask? What mask? Mask where? Mask what, where and why? What? What's all about this mask? A mask is your persona. For instance, an elderly person who acts more weak than they really are. You know, an elderly, we love our elderly, right? But do you know an elderly person who puts on a show and acts more weak than they really are? That's a mask. Every time someone comes around, they put on their mask and they go into I'm weak mode, right? I mean the elderly are the elderly, right? Your great grandparents, right? Grandparents, great grandparents, maybe great grandparents. Our sweet elderly, sweet beloved elderly, right? Some of them sometimes they act a little more weak than they really are, right? Some of them. That's a mask. Oh, here's a person. Let me go into weak mode. That's a mask. Anytime you feel like you have to pretend around people, that's a mask. You can't be yourself. That's a mask. Tough guy, a tough gal. Tough guy, tough gal, acts tough all the time. That's a mask. Or the opposite, a person who acts shy and timid all the time, just really quiet. That's a mask. There's probably a crazy fire inside that person. That's a mask. Just pretending is a mask. A person who's really heavy into substance use, who tries to act like they're a sober person, that's a mask. Doesn't want anyone to know that they're using, that's a mask. So they try to act sober all the time, that's a mask. Any kind of acting and pretending, that's a mask. So I hope people have a better idea of what I'm talking about when I'm saying mask all the time. Some people are going to know because they've read into this stuff. And it doesn't even require words. I mean, it helps, but well, I guess we need language to explain it. That's why we have language, right? To explain things. So we can understand things. That's why we started talking to each other, to get clarification, right? So that's what I mean when I'm saying mask. Pretending, any kind of pretending that you have to do, that's a mask. A person who always acts happy. I'm never sad. Nothing. I never have anything sad to be sad about because my life is perfectly happy. That's a mask. A person who's afraid to show weakness, that's a mask. A person who, anytime you're afraid to show anything about yourself, that's a mask. So there it is. I hope that helps. Someone's like, why does she keep saying mask? What is she talking about? Some people might be here from my other channels, and some people might be here because they're wanting videos about the subject, right? And then some people are like, what is she talking about? What is this shadow mask? What is she talking about? So the shadow is related to the mask. The shadow is wearing the mask, right? So when I say there's shadows in the driver's seat, that means they're pretending. They're in pretend mode. They're not being real. They're not being authentic. They're not showing you every facet of their personality. They're in one facet mode. I'm only gonna show anger. I'm only gonna show happiness. I'm only gonna show weakness. I'm weak, so nobody will suspect how diabolical I can be. Covert narcissist, right? I fool you. It's a mask. Yeah. So the mask the shadow is wearing the mask. So the self is your authentic self. That's when you don't have to pretend. You're just you. I can be happy sometimes. I can also be furious sometimes. I can also be really sad sometimes, y'all. I'm sad right now. When you're just you can be you anytime. And you're not afraid to show it. That doesn't mean lay your whole life on the table. That doesn't mean find a huge building and write your life story on the building so everyone can read your life. No. No, you don't share everything. There's some things you keep in it, right? And you just don't feel afraid to show everything. This is me, this is me, this is me, this is me, and this is me. This is all me. Because I'm human. Can't be happy all the time. I'm not going to be sad all the time. There's going to be variations in your mood, right? So the goal is to be your authentic self. That's when you find true peace. When you're pretending. And when I say delusion, we're just talking about delusion. Delusions are like... What did it go? What was I saying? Delusions. Like a person who uses drugs and alcohol, but they don't want anyone to know it. It's this huge, dark secret in their life. That's a delusion. They're living under a delusion that everything's cool when there's really a terrible fire burning, right? That's a delusion. Everything's cool. No, it's not cool. Delusion. Delusion. Delusion alert. It's another delusion. Being in a relationship and you think everything's cool and it's not. And it's not cool. That's a delusion. Being in denial about abuse. When you're being abused and you're in denial about it, I'm not being abused, everything's cool, that's a delusion. Delusions. Not the opposite of reality. It's not reality. The reality is you're being abused. You're just denying it. So there's delusion and reality. I have to let this doggy inside. So I hope that clears it. I hope that explains the mask and the shadow and then what is she talking about. I hope that helps.